Today I'm going to show you how to make a show-stopping pear frangipane tart that's both gluten-free and low in sugar. We're going to break this recipe down into 3 steps: pastry, filling, and fruit. A traditional pear frangipane tart is made with a sweet dough, but today we're making ours a little bit saltier and flakier and lower glycemic using almond flour, cassava, a little bit of flax, and butter. Second, the filling, or the frangipane, is an almond custard. And today we're sweetening ours with just a little bit of maple syrup because I find almonds are very naturally sweet. And the last step is the fruit. We're poaching our pears in just a little bit of honey with some cardamom to give it a little bit of warmth. We're going to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're going to make our tart shell by pulsing together 1 1/3 cups of almond flour, 1/3 cup of cassava flour, 1 teaspoon ground flax seeds, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we want to add 5 very cold tablespoons of unsalted butter and pulse the mixture slowly together until it resembles breadcrumbs and you can pinch it together. Dump the dough into a bowl and you'll want to work very quickly from here. Work the flour together with your hands until it forms a nice dough ball. You want to use a tart pan with a removable bottom for this recipe. Then we want to roll out the dough into 1/4 inch thickness, and the easiest way to do this is in between 2 pieces of parchment paper. I like to anchor my 4 corners with these heavy coasters to stop the parchment from bunching up while I'm rolling the dough out. Sprinkle a little bit of cassava flour, then gently roll out the dough and turn every now and then and check to make sure the dough is not sticking to the parchment by peeking and adding a little bit more cassava. With all-purpose flour, I would normally roll this dough out over the rolling pin, but we are just going to flip the dough into the tart pan and then use our fingers to fix the dough. We want to make sure all the sides are well covered and the tart is nice and tight, especially around the edges. These for 10 minutes. We're going to sprinkle some cassava flour over the tart, then cover with some parchment paper and some pie weights and bake for 10 minutes. Remove the pie weights and then bake for another 5 minutes until the shell is nice and lightly golden. We're going to let the shell cool while we work on the other components. Most gluten-free pastries are loaded with sugar, or they use a high glycemic rice flour or brown rice flour. Ours uses just a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and we're using lower carb, lower glycemic flours, mostly almond flour. We're going to make the frangipane by starting with 6 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter, 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 1 egg, almond extract, vanilla extract, 1 cup of superfine almond flour, a tablespoon of cassava flour, and a pinch of salt. This is literally a dump and mix recipe. Just use a hand mixer to get that filling nice and smooth. We're going to give our poaching liquid for the pears a head start by crushing some cardamom and heating the water on low while we prep our pears. We're using Bosc pears that aren't super ripe because they don't turn to mush while poaching. You want to look for pears that aren't too bruised. Peel the pears from stem to the bottom. I like to peel 1 extra pear and just poach it just in case there's some bruising on the inside. Brush the pear with a little bit of apple cider vinegar to prevent browning. You could also use lemon juice if you prefer that. Add 2 tablespoons of honey to the poaching liquid as well as a little splash of apple cider vinegar, and then go ahead and place the pears into the poaching liquid. Poach the pears for about 15 to 20 minutes depending on their ripeness. You'll know the pears are done when a knife easily pierces through them. If you want to speed up cooking time, cut the pears in half and remove the core and then poach. Set the pears aside until they're cool enough to handle. Then cut the pears in half, remove the core with a melon baller and the bottom of the core. Then cut the pear into slices, keeping the shape of the pear intact. Now to assemble our tart, we're going to spoon the frangipane into the cool tart shell and spread it evenly. I like to make a little indent in the center of the filling to help me mark how to place the pears. Place the pears on top and fan them out. You can make any design the way you like. Bake the tart for another 40 to 45 minutes until the center is no longer wet. I'm going to make a quick glaze to give the pears some sheen. I'm heating 1/4 cup of apricot jam along with 1 tablespoon of water in a pan just until it melts. Brush the glaze liberally on the pears and you are good to go. Sprinkle the tart with a little bit of powdered sugar, and then our moment of truth is to spring the tart from the pan, and voila! You have a gluten-free, low-sugar pear frangipane tart. The texture and the flavors are very layered. The pastry is flaky and salty, the filling is sweet, and the pears are juicy and tart. That teeniest bit of cardamom. It's delicious. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, give us a big like and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next week for more recipes. This tart would taste delicious with our vegan, low glycemic pumpkin spice latte recipe, so check that out.